other hand, I ran out of the car, so I left my pen there, but it's over.
You want a pen?
There you go.
And they're an extra one. That's
I have one.
borrow.
Here we go.
It has to be extra, one that you don't need.
I don't use
It's in my pocket. See if this writes.
Thank you.
This one writes. If you,
Okay.
no, that one doesn't work. It's kind of.
Let us know if it doesn't write. We'll find another one
Let
for
you
you.
know, doesn't have to write much.
Okay. Just let us know if I haven't been in my pocket
I
for a
don't
while.
use it. At least right now.
Okay. So we are on Daf Chavdal Amud Aleph, and today is the I don't know, the end of Hanukkah, so to speak. Well, I hope we get to the end of Hanukkah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Read your email.
This is it. I hope we get to the end of the sugya. Probably get close to the end of the sugya itself. Okay. So, the Gemara is a discussion that we're going to learn tonight. What about saying some prayer for Hanukkah in Birchas Hamazon? We call it Al Nisim.
Right.
Now, the Gemara never asked this question really about davening, about tefillah. The Gemara assumes as a given that you do say Al Nisim in shemoneh-esrei, and the reason is because the idea for Chanukah is of course Pirsum Minisa, and therefore in Shul where everybody's around and you're davening with a minyan, you're going to have the best Pirsum Minisa by saying Al Nisim, even though you're saying it to yourself. But everybody's saying when they give the clap, Al Nisim, right? That's the best Pirsum Minisa. But when you're davening, when you're saying benching by yourself, and maybe at most there's only a mezuman, so it's less of a Pirsum Minisa. So maybe you shouldn't have to say it. So the Gemara wants to know. So the Gemara says, beginning on the fourth line, Ibay lahu. The Gemara asks the question, Ma'u lahaska shechanukah beberchad hamazon. Should we say the tefillah for Chanukah, which is the Al Nisim tefillah? Should we include it in the Birchas Hamazon? Then we're going to ask, of course, where it should go. Chavdal Amud Aleph. It's on the fourth line, so it's probably 24A1. 24A1 should be the first new paragraph. So should you include it in the Birchas Hamazon or not? Why? Seeing that we don't, it's only a rabbinic mitzvah to have Chanukah, and we know that Birchas Hamazon is a Doraisa mitzvah, even though the actual formulation of the Birchas Hamazon is rabbinic, right? I always joke and say you could say Rabbi Dub Dub, thanks for the grub, and then you've done the mitzvah in Torah of Birchas Hamazon.
Exactly.
Repeat after me, Rabbi Dub Dub, thanks for the grub. Actually, the truth is I joke about it too much, but the truth is if you actually said that, you probably would have a real question whether you could verbalize the real Birchas Hamazon and Siddur, because you've already done the mitzvah of Birchas Hamazon.
Right.
So you can tell the joke, but not when you've got to say the benching.
Right. You must have gone to the same camp I went to.
Yes, there we go. So at any rate, so on the other hand, so Chanukah is all rabbinic additions, and Birchas Hamazon is a Doraisa. So do we put this addition in, or it's not because it's not that important? Or maybe because it's Pirsum Minisa, it is important. We should include it as well. Once again, I told you we're not asking this about the tefillah. In fact, if you look at the first line in Rashi on the top of the page, the very first Rashi says Birchas Hamazon, says Rashi, B'tefillah pshita lan. It was pasha to the Gemara that you'd say Al Nisim Sharei Lahala Lahodah Nikfu, because the days of Chanukah were set up for Hala Vodah. It's the end of what we say actually in the Al Nisim prayer. So therefore, when you say tefillah, when you're davening in tefillah, I told you it's because of Pirsum Minisa. Rashi says it a little differently. Rashi says there's parts of tefillah that are actually set up for Hala for Hodah. The whole end of the davening is really about Hodah. We talk about the greatness of God. We then have all the personal requests, and then at the very end we include Halel Hodah, Modim, and Valkulam, and thank God for all the stuff that's there. So therefore, it makes sense to include Al Nisim. What about the benching? So Amarav Huna, Eino Maskir. So first opinion is we say that you don't have to maskir. Rashi says Eino maskir doesn't mean you don't, but Rashi says Eino tzarech lahaskir. You don't have to say Al Nisim. Right, and the reason Rashi says that is because look at the next 5 words. V'imbo lahaskir maskir bodas, which means you don't have to say it. And if you want to say it, where would you put it in? You put the brach of Hodah. Now the brach of Hodah, usually when we use this term, refers to shemoneh-esrei, brach of Modim. Right, Modim Anachnu Lach. So that's where, that's exactly where we have the Al Nisim. We have it right after he's finished Modim. before you go on to V'al Kulam, which is a continuation of that bracha, we include Al Nisim. That's where it is. So but here, what brachas Hodah is refers to the bracha of Nod L'cha Hashem Elokeinu. This is the second bracha of the Berachas Hamazon, which also is praising God. What Rashi calls it Berachas Haaretz, it talks about the land of Israel.
Yeah.
Right. So, but I'm saying, but that's what it's called Berachas Hodah. I'm just pointing out the term is an unusual term. Usually, you'd expect the Gemara would say Berachas Haaretz, but they're just trying to connect the fact that there's Hodah, there's praise of God there, and this Al Nisim is a bracha that really praises God. So it goes into the place where you're praising God, which is the bracha of Noda, which is the bracha of Berachas Haaretz. So the Gemara says, so first opinion is Amar Rav and Rav Shchor and Rav Huna of Eno Maskiv and Balahaskiv Maskiv Odah. Okay? Rav Huna bar Yehuda, Ikla Levei Rava. So the story comes up, Rav Huna bar Yehuda came to the house, or the study hall, or the house of Rava. Savalat Kru B'Boni Yerushalayim. He thought he would put the bracha into Boni Yerushalayim. Why would you put in Boni Yerushalayim? Because what are we talking about? We're talking about restoring the Beis Hamikdash. It happened in Yerushalayim. They came to rebuild the Beis Hamikdash. They came to restore it. It was Chanukas HaMizbeach, right? The menorah we have is an 8-candle menorah, but it's really based upon, to some extent, the lighting of the menorahs because they lit the menorah in the Beis Hamikdash. So maybe Boni Yerushalayim. So Amalei Rav Sheshes Kitfila, like in davening, Matfila Bodah, Berachas Hamazon Bodah. So the same way that you have in davening, we included the bracha of Modim, which is the bracha of Hodah. So Berachas Hamazon we're also going to include it in the bracha of Hodah, which is the second bracha, not the same place, not the end like in davening, but actually second bracha in Berachas Hamazon. So what do we have? What is the halacha? So what comes out according to this Gemara? Should you say Al Nisim?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, well, say that's not as clearly.
Yeah,
what the Gemara say? You don't have to say it.
Right, the Gemara saying.
But if you say it, here's where to say it. Right. Which, by the way, has a lot of implications. Which means if you didn't say it, you forgot it. You have to go back and say it. You do not. You do not. As opposed to some things like Galakadosh, Rosh Chodesh, Al Yalaviyavo. So those things one has to go back usually for most cases. But here, for you see, if you don't have to say it, it's something like it's optional. So then it's almost like if you didn't say it, then it's okay. Just keep going. We have an insertion. I think we can insert it after Uvenei Yerushalayim. There's a place where they say if you forgot it, you can put it in somewhere. I know it is. You put it in Harachamans. My mistake. With the Al Nisim, if you forgot it, you put it in Harachaman, and there's like an insertion that you then take on Harachaman, you make it into a long Al Nisim. Ibailahu. So now the Gemara has another question. Ibailahu ma lahaski Rosh Chodesh beberachas Hamazon. So the Gemara's question really is, okay, not about inserting Rosh Chodesh on Berachas Hamazon in general, but what about inserting Rosh Chodesh in the Berachas Hamazon of Chanukah that you're saying that happens to be Rosh Chodesh? Okay, so we're not talking about a regular Rosh Chodesh, but this is already the idea of
it's
Chanukah.
Regular, but happens to be in the middle of Chanukah.
Correct.
Not in the middle.
Okay, so. I'm sorry? Yalav Yavo. Okay, so would you include the Rosh Chodesh Yalav Yavo in the Berachas Hamazon of Chanukah? Okay? Well, why not? So the Gemara says, Im Tim Salomer b'Chanukah d'Rabbanan lo tzarech. If you say that when it comes to Chanukah, you didn't have to include the Al Nisim because it's only really a Chanukah thing, and it's only rabbinic, Rosh Chodesh d'Oraisa tzarech. But Rosh Chodesh is clearly a mitzvah in our Torah to celebrate Rosh Chodesh because HaChodesh is Elachem Rosh Chodashim, that we set up the months. The basin has the power to declare the months. Today we don't have a basin, so we have it set up. But still the concept is that God gave to the Jewish people the ability to set up Rosh Chodesh. We follow a lunar calendar. We don't follow a lunar calendar with a solar inclusion, but it's really not a solar calendar. But we have the right to set that up. We can determine when to include Adar Rishon and Adar Sheni and make other adjustments. O Dilma, or maybe we say Kevin lo asa basiyas malacha lo mat karinan. So, or maybe we shouldn't have to add it. I think what's really going on here is this is not about a Rosh Chodesh of Chanukah. we're asking about Rosh Chodesh in general. Do we have to add the Yal Nisim? Do we add Yal Aviyavo in the Berachas Hamazon of Rosh Chodesh? One's going to asking about Berachas Hamazon, not about Tefillah. So when it comes to Chanukah, we said Al Nisim is only optional. Maybe that's only because it's only rabbinic. But maybe when it comes to benching, maybe because Rosh Chodesh is Minat Torah, you should include it in the benching of Rosh Chodesh, not only in the davening of Rosh Chodesh, or maybe not. Maybe
It's not a yontif.
it doesn't really stand out as a yontif, so therefore there's nothing special about it when it comes to benching. You don't say it itself. So Rav, so here's a machlok. It's actually funny. Rav Amar Mazkir. Rav says you do have to say Yal Aviyavo in the benching of Rosh Chodesh. Rav Chanina Amar Eino Mazkir. So Rav Chanina says you don't have to say it. So we have a machlokas. When it comes to Chanukah, there's only one opinion. You don't really have to say it. You don't have to say Al Nisim. And if you did, here's where to say it. When it comes to benching on Rosh Chodesh, and I'll correct myself, it's not Rosh Chodesh or Chanukah, it's actually Rosh Chodesh. When it comes to benching on Rosh Chodesh, it's a machloket between who are the two opinions again? Rav says you do, and Rav Chanina says you don't have to. Okay. So I'm Rav Zrika. So comes now Rav Zrika to tell you how you find how to decide the halacha. The quote to Rav Biyadecha. Keep Rav in your, follow Rav. Put Rav in your hand, right? Hold on to Rav. Why? The Kohen Rav Oshai Kavase. Because we find a follow-up type of statement, not exactly what we're learning, but that's from Rav Oshai that seems to follow the opinion of Rav. And let's stay with this because it's a little complicated. The Tani Rav Oshaya. It's a long piece that Rav Oshai is quoting. He's quoting, looks like a brisa. Yomim sheyesh b'hem karban musaf. Days that have musaf, such as
Rosh Chodesh.
Rosh Chodesh, Chol Shel Moed. Chol Moed means obviously days that have musaf that are not holidays. Right. Holidays we're not talking about, but there are certain semi-festive days that have a musaf karban, Rosh Chodesh and Chol Moed. So Arvis, Shachris, and Mincha mispalo shemoneh-esrei. So at Mariv, Shachris, and Mincha of that day of Rosh Chodesh of Chol Moed, we say shemoneh. When we do say shemoneh-esrei, v'omer me'ein mamara bi'avoda. And we say from the topic of the day, we say it on in the avoda in the bracha ritzei. Why are we saying it there in avoda? Because we're asking Rachmim from Kadosh Baruch Hu in Yerushalayim to return the avoda back to its place, so that we can once again bring the karban musaf. So notice on every day that has a karban musaf, we're going to say Yal Aviyavo, V'yagia, V'yeretzeh, V'yerejeh, V'yishma, V'bekei, V'zecheh, Zechon Efeimenu, Zechon Avosem, Zechon Mashiach Ben David Avdecha, V'zechon Yishlayim Kosher, V'zechon Goy Yisrael Lefnech, L'fnei Totov, L'chein Ches Vachim, Chaim L'shom B'yom Shachor Shazeh, Zachrein Hashem L'kein L'tova, etc. Why are we asking God to remember this? Because we want to bring the avoda, we want to bring that karban musaf. So if we have a musaf, we include an avoda, which is about asking for the avoda. It's a request, a communal request. That's where you want to put in the bracha for Rosh Chodesh or Chol Moed, because you're asking to bring that karban musaf in reality. V'im lo amar, okay, and if you didn't, and when it says me'ein ha'ma'ora, means you include the proper insertion. Like Rosh Chodesh, Chol Moed, Chag Pesach, Chag Sukkos, and so forth. V'im lo amar, if you didn't say the Yal Aviyavo, machzirin oso, you actually make him go back and say the shemoneh-esrei again, okay? Which you know. V'ein b'hem kedusha ala kos. But you don't have, there's no kiddush on the cup of wine. There's no kiddush, said, okay? There's no kiddush in Rosh Chodesh, there's no kiddush in Chol Moed. V'yesh b'hem haskara b'berachas hamazon. And you do include it, you do insert this to remember this on Birchas Hamazon, which is what we do.
What Rabbi Yoshaya was part of his statement there.
Correct, right. This is now, the statement continues. But so what do we see, by the way, from this? That in Rosh Chodesh, you say it where not only in Tefillah, in Avodah, you say it in Birchas Hamazon. According to Rav Oshaya, which is, who follows that opinion? Rav. Yomim shein b'hem karban musaf. Now, on how days that we don't have a karban musaf, such as, and here it's going to get complicated because the Gemara says something and then tries to explain what it means. Kagon sheni v'chamishi, v'tanios u'ma'amados. So on like a Monday and Thursday and fast days, and ma'amados were what they said in the Beis Hamikdash. The Israelites who went to the Beis Hamikdash would fast 4 fast days on Shabbos: Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. And they would include a special tefillos that they would daven while the karban tamid was being brought. So that's Tanis Mamodos. So what was not clear to us what Sheni v'Chamishi, every Monday and Thursday, What do you do? So the Gemara says right away, Sheni v'chamishi, ma'av v'dertayu. What's Monday and Thursday doing here? Monday and Thursday is regular days. What are you inserting here? What are you putting in here? Ella, Sheni v'chamishi, v'sheni shel tanios mamados. It means the Monday, Thursday, and Monday of fast days. Like we have Tanis Bahab. Or today our fast days fall on the calendar when they fall out, but people used to fast, and the Anshi Mamad would fast as well the entire week, but people generally fasted Monday, Thursday, and Monday. And if we learned Maseches Tanis once upon a time, and the entire first chapter was about the fast days they would fast because of drought. And when there was a drought, they fasted 3 days, Monday, Thursday, Monday, and then they stopped. And then if it didn't rain, they fasted again Monday, Thursday, Monday. And then again, and then they went until they had a whole series of 7 in a row. Monday, Thursday, Monday, Thursday, Monday, Thursday, Monday. I say that right? Maybe I skipped one. Okay? So it means El Sheni v'chamishi Sheni Shiltanios Mamados. So on these holidays, what do we say? There's no Yal v'Yavo. Arvis v'Shachris and Mincha mispalo shemoneh-esrei. On Marav, Shachris and Mincha we say shemoneh-esrei, and we say me'ein hama'ora b'shomei tefillah, and we include something about the holiday, about the special day, which is the Monday and Thursday of the fast days Mamados, on the tefillah of shomei tefillah. What are we talking about here? What's the tefillah of shomei tefillah? What do we insert? Anenu.
Right.
Okay, Anenu. Now, look at the Gemara seems to say that on the Monday, Thursday of Monday of a fast day, you're going to say Anenu in which tefillos?
Three. The Mincha.
Ma'ariv, Arvis, Shachris, and Mincha. Correct?
That's what it says.
In Mishmei Tefillah. And now, someone should be asking, we don't say Anenu on Ma'ariv, we don't say Anenu in Shachris.
But we change it all the time, all these things. It's not the first
So
time.
that's true. So first of all, most of our Tanaisim begin in the morning. So you would never say Anenu at night, like our Tanaisim begin in the morning or before morning, right? At dawn, at Los HaShachar. So the Marav before, what were you saying Anenu for? You're not fasting yet.
You haven't started yet.
Yeah,
you
we
started
started.
1 minute.
Well, you're not even didn't start. You didn't start at all.
Even if it's a full.
No, but
sorry.
Shabbos you are.
So with Shachris. Now what about Shachris? So therefore, Shachris, it looks like there was a minhag to say Anenu in maybe even Marav Shachris and Mincha as well, even if they weren't fasting. It looks like that was a minhag, and there may have been a minhag in minhag Sfard in some communities in the Middle Ages. I don't know minhag Sfard is today, not Nusach Sfard, but minhag Sfardim to say it actually in Shachris and Mincha. Rashi refers to a minhag Gaonim that actually they would do this. And then Rashi says at the end of a very long Rashi, we don't do this anymore. We don't do Marav, we don't do Anenu, we don't do Shachris Anenu. And the reason is Shema Yera Onis, holy. We're afraid you may get sick. So if I start in the morning, I say Anenu in the morning, and I say Shachris Anenu, what happens if I can't make it through the day? So Rashi seems to suggest that it would be yeshli choli, I get sick, or bulmus, I have bulmus is where I have probably like a, what do you call it when you have a low sugar?
Fainting maybe.
More than fainting. What it means you have this need to eat, or your sugar level drops. V'yitom klum, you'll eat something. V'nimtza shachrim b'tfilah, so you'll end up being like saying a liar when you're done. It's more than diabetes. I'm just thinking of a different term.
Yeah,
it's not.
Isn't Anenu up to the time? Is it up to the time? Here's the question: is it up to the time, or it's for the future? In other words, you're saying Anenu in Shachris. You're saying it for the whole day.
That's what it means. So it really is for the whole.
But it's. Oh, I see.
It really is for the whole day, is what Rashi is suggesting. Now, other Rishonim say that's not really true.
Up to that point.
Right, it's up to. Well, first of all, it's either up to that point. You're talking to Hashem because you're asking God to help us. Anenu Hashem Anenu.
Yeah.
So even if I'm not fasting, like for example,
even
if I'm not fasting, maybe there's an argument one should say Anenu. We don't. As a rule, if you're not fasting, you don't say Anenu, okay? But you could argue that maybe Anenu is a special request, because why don't we say Anenu Hashem Anenu B'yom Tzom Tanisenu, we're fasting. So you could argue that even if you're fasting at that point, your intention is to complete the fast. If you can't fast because you got sick, that doesn't mean that you're a sinner, it doesn't mean that you're shachar, it means you're an onus.
Yeah.
Right? So the Maharsha and others say, yeah, it's true, but you know what? We have what we call no, not minhag. The generations have gotten weaker. Yardachul Shala Olam. We're not what we used to be. Look, they used to fast Monday, Thursday, Monday. That's how they got through the lean times. We can't do that. No one could fast like that. You go on crash diets and you crash. So therefore, it's more likely today that we really are not going to fast. More people are asking about not fasting today than they ever asked in the past, 200, 300 years ago. Right? I mean, there are good grounds to excuse people for fasting.
It's a different world.
It's a different world. Well, what's a different world?
I think people are not quite
So
as
one
convinced.
different world is, first of all, that
They don't suffer every day. Like in the ancient times, people would suffer every day. They would fast for illness. They would fast.
so first of all,
for
medically we know fasting may not necessarily be so good, right?
Yeah,
So we're more eager to say that women who are pregnant or just gave birth, or women who are people who are on the edge should not fast. We understand physically, but the other part of it as well is most of our fasts are actually mourning for the Beis Hamikdash. I don't want to be misinterpreted here, but the Gemara discusses if Jews are suffering, then we should obviously fast for rebuilding the Beis Hamikdash. We understand what's going on. If we rebuild the Beis Hamikdash, we would not fast. What about where things are fairly good, right? There's no tsaras. What are we asking God? So it's possible that in some times in Jewish history when things were really good, they did not say Aneinu. They did not have to fast, or maybe became more optional. So maybe our fasts are not as stringent today. Where Jews, as general, have it better, as a general rule, than they had it maybe during the Middle Ages. But I want to be very careful. This does not mean that you should not fast.
No.
Just in terms of maybe explain why we're more lenient sometimes with how we permit people to break their fast. But the bottom line, if you have to break the fast, it doesn't mean that you're a shotgun, that you're a liar, that you didn't fast. You're excused, right? You're excused. So therefore, so there are different minhagim actually come up. You find that there was apparently was a minhag to actually say the anenu for all three tefillos on the tanesim that they fasted beginning at night. Right, and once again in Masechet Tanis, the initial fast for drought began at dawn, but as they progressed, the fast became more strict, and they started at nightfall. So they did fast like we do on Tisha B'Av and Yom Kippur a full day. So that was one minhag. There was a minhag to start only Shachris and then Mincha, and the basic minhag that people keep today is we start only say Anenu at Mincha. Now there's one exception. Anyone who's ever davened for the Amud on a fast day knows that the Chazan does say Anenu in the repetition of the Amidah in Shachris, even though no one else does. How come the Chazan says it? If nobody else says Anenu, this is a question I always wondered about as a kid. If nobody says Anenu,
He's doing it for you.
Well, he's doing it for me. He's fasting for me. This is vicarious Judaism.
No, just praying for it.
So the answer that the Achronim say is that in a congregation, it's probable that one person at least is fasting. So therefore, when the Chazan gets up to say it, he's saying it he's not a tefillah shav. It's got to be someone because he's saying on behalf of the congregation.
Right.
Whoever it is, what I'm saying, we know that, and the chances are you are fasting. I mean, chances are when people come here in the morning, they are fasting, even people who don't fast.
Yeah.
How difficult is it when you get up, especially we're going to have our Sarbatevis soon, how difficult is it if you go to an early minyan, when you can still eat breakfast and walk into the minyan because they haven't put on the tefillin yet because they have to wait until the sun hasn't come up, it's so early. So just to wait till after davening to eat. You probably wait till after davening to eat anyway, even if you go to a later minyan, so you're fasting an hour. What's the big deal? It's like you don't have your coffee for an hour, you have a coffee an hour later. It's not so. No, for Shachris, chances are someone is fasting, and therefore the Chazan will say it for the people that are. I can't guarantee everyone will. Can't guarantee that those who are will fast all the way through the day. But chances are someone who is davening in that minyan is fasting now and will fast and make it through the entire day. That's the answer that there is. But at any rate, that explains to us what this piece in the Gemara seems to say, that Chamishi, that the Sheni Chamishi V'Sheni of the Tanios and Mamados, that they would be fasting. They would fast on Arvis, Shachris, and Mincha, and they'd mitpalel shemoneh-esrei v'omer me'ein mama'ora b'shomei tefillah. They'd say something related to that event, which is what we call Anenu. That's the Anenu prayer in Shemei Tefillah, in the prayer of Shemei Tefillah. V'im lo amar, and says Rabbi Oshaya, according to this price of V'im lo amar, ein machzir nosa. If you left it out, you don't have to. So you don't go back, which is true. If you left out Anenu, too bad. You have to fast without saying Anenu. I remember it always was as a kid. Every time I learned the first time of fasting, and the way we daven shemoneh-esrei, Right? You finish before you began. Right? You start in the first bracha, and before you know it, you're saying Sim Shalom. You don't know how you turn 20 pages, right? We can admit it here among friends. It happens to us once in the blue moon, especially to younger people, right? Not older timers.
Sometimes it happens.
Okay. So that you'd wait, you're fasting, you're the big knocker, and suddenly you realize you forgot to say shemoneh-esrei. So you didn't even get the chance to say shemoneh-esrei, which you couldn't say when you weren't fasting. What a downer. Okay, so at any rate, so these are these days. So ve'ein bohem kedusha shalakos. You don't say this. Ve'ein bohem haskar beberachas hamazon, and you don't mention in berachas hamazon at all. Now, what does that mean? You don't say it in berachas hamazon?
Well, we're talking again. Which days we're talking about?
I thought it's a fast day.
But the tanis,
you're not eating. It's a fast day. What are you eating?
You're not eating.
What are you eating? Right? And where would you say it in berachas hamazon? So once again, our minhag is we don't say aneinu at Marav, right? But it is possible if the original minhag was to say it at Marav, and that included even where you hadn't started fasting till the morning, one could argue that this aneinu that's being said at Marav is in the berachas hamazon is you're eating at night before the fast began. Right? We don't do it. It doesn't happen. So we don't even know what this actually where you would have put it in. It doesn't even tell us where you would put it in the berachas hamazon. Correct. Okay, and as a result, we don't really have this kind of concept of where a person is going to eat on a fast day and say aneinu in the berachas hamazon.
Yeah.
What you do, by the way, you do have a person who eats on Yom Kippur.
Yes, I've seen it in the.
A person eats a person, right? You say the Alav Yavo.
Absolutely.
That's what you said, right?
Yeah.
Possibly maybe you should make kiddush even on.
I think that's we learned that.
Yeah.
So
yes.
it makes.
Yeah. Okay.
Make kiddush then you eat.
Correct. Right. Okay. Okay. So that takes us. So this is Rav Ushaya, and therefore the Rav is follows the same opinion of Rav. Mm-hmm. So consequently, when it comes to saying Rosh Chodesh, which has Musaf, it told us very clearly that you said it in berachas hamazon. Told us where to say it. It told us you have to go back if you forgot it, and it told us that you include it in the avoda in the shemoneh-esrei, and when you include it in berachas hamazon, and if you didn't, you have to go back and say it again. Okay. By the way, I see that when I told you before that the reason the Gemara thought it was a pashut that you said Chanukah you say in davening, I see Tosfos says the reason is because of Persumini, so that's why I got confused. Rashi says the reason is because Al Nesim is Halal Hodah. Tosfos 1, 2, 3, 4, the 1, 2, the fifth Tosfos, Ma'al Hazkir Chanukah Berachas hamazon. Fifth Tosfos on the left side of the page. The Tefillah Pshita Leida Maskir Mishum the Tefillah B'Tziborhu, because you daven in Tzibor, V'ika Persumini, and everybody's going to see a Berachas hamazon. It's like a Persuminisa kol is less Persuminisa. Okay? Okay. So therefore, Yalav Yavo, where do we put Yalav Yavo in the davening? We put in the Avodah, in V'sechas Eno Ineinu, which is the bracha about Avodah, because we want to go back and build the base of Mikdash. Where do we put Yalav Yavo in the Berachas hamazon? Which bracha? Which bracha do you put it in? You know the answer. Just you don't know what to call the bracha. You can put it in after Rachem, right before V'nei Yerushalayim. Right, we put it right. So the first bracha is called Berachas Hazon. Second bracha is called Berachas Aretz. The third bracha is called Berachas Yerushalayim. Even though it starts with Rachem, we call it Berachas Rachem. Rachem is the beginning of the bracha. The bracha does not end until of V'nei Yerushalayim HaKosh Bracha Hashem B'nei Rachma Yerushalayim Amen. That's the end of the bracha. We tend to look at that as a new bracha. Not true. It happens to be we just separated there because that's where you put in the Alav Yavo. So you always take a break, or we put in Ritzei for Shabbos there because that's the bracha about building Yerushalayim. So on the day that you have a Musaf, you put in the bracha Bonei Yerushalayim because what do we want to do? Rebuild Yerushalayim, and then we can once again bring the Karban Musaf. So it makes sense. We're putting it in the right place. And the same thing with Shabbos, which also has a Musaf Tefillah. We put the Ritzei into that place in the davening. we don't have a Yalav Yavo for shemoneh-esrei. We have a separate shemoneh-esrei, but in Berachos Hamazon we say the same Berachos Hamazon. And where do we include the bracha for Shabbos for Tzei? The same place, because Shabbos has a musaf. We want God to rebuild rebuild Yerushalayim with Yerushalayim HaKodesh Me'evimenu, and when we rebuild the Yerushalayim, we'll be able to bring the musaf for Shabbos, right? So it all makes sense. These are not just random places where they felt it's a good place to put in because you can sing it better at that point. Okay, now, so this was, we discussed so far about Al Nisim. We discussed about Rosh Chodesh. We discussed about Yalav Yav on Rosh Chodesh. Now we're going to ask the following question, okay? Because I think I got confused with the following Gemara when I read the previous Gemara. The question we're now going to ask is, what about on Hanukkah? There are 2 days of Rosh Chodesh, usually 2 days of Rosh Chodesh. This year they will be Shabbos and Sunday, so you get a triple whammy.
I think this year there's the maximum of two Rosh Chodesh.
2 Rosh Chodeshes, yeah, possible. Okay, there are certain Rosh Chodeshes can be 1 or 2s, and so one of them is going to be that between Kislev and Teves. We have 2 days of Rosh Chodesh this year, Shabbos and Sunday. I'm just pointing out you will have.
We always have 2 days Rosh Chodesh Hanukkah.
I think it's usually 2 days Rosh
Yeah, I was
Chodesh.
wondering. Someone asked me, and I wasn't sure.
Cheshvan to Kislev actually flip back and forth. Cheshvan to Kislev. The Cheshvan to Kislev sometimes has 1 day of Rosh Chodesh, sometimes has 2 days of Rosh Chodesh.
But the other ones are fixed.
The other ones I think are fixed, right? So at any rate, there are 2 days of Rosh Chodesh. It's the 6th and 7th day of Hanukkah, right? Sunday night will be the last night of Hanukkah. This Sunday night will be the first night of Hanukkah. A week later will be the last night of Hanukkah. So just pointing out that for a week from Shabbos, bring something good to read. I mean, bring a siddur or a chumash to learn because it's a long davening. You've got them all.
3
Sefer Torah, Hallel, the whole shebang. You got them all, okay? So there you go. Speak to your gabbai to make sure they don't put up the slow guys for
never
davening.
go home.
Right. True story. At any rate, bottom line is here's the question. When there's a Rosh Chodesh on Hanukkah, do I say Yalav Yavo? I'm surely going to say it for Shachris. I say it for Shachris every day of Hanukkah. Or I can say it. If I leave it out, I don't have to go back. But I am entitled to say it. And the same thing for Mincha and the same thing for Ma'ariv. What about Musaf? Do I say Yalav Yavo for Musaf?
No.
Well, the answer is actually yes.
Yes. Okay.
The answer is yes. I told you it's a long davening. Okay, the answer is actually yes, but the Gemara is asking the question. In other words, we know that Rosh Chodesh has a specialty to it.
Yeah.
But the reason that I say the Musaf on Rosh Chodesh of Chanukah, it has nothing to do with Chanukah, it has to do with Rosh Chodesh.
Right.
So what does Chanukah really have to do with it, or no? So that's the Gemara's question. You understand the confluence now of Rosh Chodesh and Chanukah. I haven't told you when you say Rosh Chodesh, what you say for Yalav Yavo, and I haven't told you what you say for Chanukah. If you have to say it, you don't say it. If you forgot it, go back, right. Don't go back, and so forth. Now what happens when they both come together? So the question was never about not saying Rosh Chodesh, it was not saying Yalav Yavo. The question really becomes in terms of saying Al Nisim. In fact, it's not even Yalav Yavo that we're inserting in the Musaf Rosh Chodesh. What do we say? We have a special Musaf Amida.
Yeah.
Right. So it's a completely different. So do I put in the Yalav? Do I put in Al Nisim in that shemoneh-esrei? And we have it's a little different for Shabbos. We have the Shabbos Musaf Amida, right? That says Atah Konanto, Atah Yetzarto. Thank you, Atah Yetzarto. But even though it's not Shabbos, as it will be Sunday, we'll have the regular Rosh Chodesh Musaf that we're going to have. So it's not even like it's a regular davening; it's a special kind of Amida. Do I include the Al Nisim? You don't believe me?
Yes,
okay.
I can see it right here. I didn't.
Okay,
I want
good.
to check.
Okay. And by the way, it's not even on Rosh Chodesh.
Nothing wrong with not believing. I want to check.
So the same question, by the way, I guess it's not even just Rosh Chodesh. It's going to be even Shabbos. Right, a regular Shabbos of Chanukah, which we have a special Musaf Amida. Do I insert Al Nisim in the Musaf Amida?
Yeah, because it's after the special stuff. It's after this. It's after It's after the.
So Archie said
it's
after Moedim. So we're going back to the regular normally scheduled service. So why shouldn't I put it in? Yeah, but the whole davening is a special davening. It happens to be the first 3 brachas, last 3 brachas of every shemoneh-esrei is going to be the same.
Right.
But let's read the Gemara. Okay, Iboilahu. Let's take the Gemara and see how the Gemara presents it. Iboilahu. Mahu lahaskir shechanukah b'musafim. do I include the Alanisim in the Tfilas Musaf? Why? Kaven the less be Musaf b'didei lomad karinan. Seeing if it's just a regular Hanukkah day, there is no Musaf. Right. So when I make all the proper insertions, I'm making them for the Hanukkah davening, which is Shachris, Mincha, and Marav, or Marav, Shachris, and Mincha. O Dilma Yom Hu Shechai Barba Tfilos. Or no, it happens to be that I'm supposed to say Ya'alav Yavo in all the davenings, and this day that has Musaf, whether it's Shabbos or Rosh Chodesh, they happen to have four shemoneh-esrei. So if I'm going to say them on 3 shemoneh-esreis on a day there's 3 shemoneh-esreis, on a day there's 4 shemoneh-esreis, I should say them 4 shemoneh-esreis. Okay, so guess what? That there's going to be machlokes. Rav Huna, as usual. Rav Huna, Rav Yehuda, the Amar Tavai. Rav Huna, Rav Yehuda say, Eino maskir. No, you don't say Ya'alav Yavo in Musaf of Shabbos or Rosh Chodesh of Chanukah. And Rav Nachman, Rav Yochanan, the Amar Tavai maskir. And the next two people, Rav Nachman, Rav Yochanan, say you do our maskir. Okay. And Amar Abayi, Rav Yosef, Had Rav Yehuda, Had Rav Huna, Rav Yehuda, the Rav Hu, that the opinion of Rav Yehuda and Rav Huna, which says that you don't have to say it, follows the opinion of Rav. It doesn't say this in the halacha, no kopli yodcha. It says it's just going to line up with the opinion of Rav. The Amar Rav Gittel Amar Rav, and look what the case comes up here. It's going to mention something you probably never saw in Shul. Rosh Chodesh Shechal Yos B'Shabbos. When Rosh Chodesh comes on Shabbos, okay, and that's going to come up this year on Chanukah, but sometimes Rosh Chodesh comes on Shabbos when it's not Chanukah as well. Hamaftir b'navi b'Shabbos eino tzarich lahaskel sherosh Chodesh. So when the person gets the Torah, the brachas he says at the end, he does not include about Rosh Chodesh. Why? Shel mole Shabbos ein navi b'Rosh Chodesh. Because why do we have Torah on Shabbos? Why do we have Torah on Shabbos Rosh Chodesh? Because it's Shabbos. If it wouldn't be Shabbos, would you have Rosh Chodesh? Would you have Haftorah? If it was simply Rosh Chodesh, there is no Haftorah for Rosh Chodesh. So therefore, the Rosh Chodesh Haftorah, the Haftorah on Shabbos Rosh Chodesh is brought strictly because of Shabbos. Ergo, the bracha that you make after it, there's a number of brachas, right? Talks about Allah, is about Mekadesh Shabbos, not about Rosh Chodesh at all. So, Shalmol Shabbos ain't Navi Rosh Chodesh. So therefore, who says this? So Rav Nachman, let me go back. Abai says to Rav Yosef, Rav Huna and Rav Yehuda say that you don't mention Alanisim on a Musaf davening is because the Musaf davening comes not because of Chanukah, the Musaf davening becomes because of the Shabbos or the Rosh Chodesh of Chanukah. Not about Chanukah at all. Therefore, Alanisim has no place there. It's strictly a Rosh Chodesh Musaf or a Shabbos Musaf. As you see that when you have a Torah on Shabbos Rosh Chodesh, the bracha at the end, ala kol or the Mekadesh Shabbos only mentions Shabbos, does not mention Rosh Chodesh. Sounds good. So what would you say at this point? You shouldn't say therefore ala nisim on Shabbos. However, the Gemara says not true. Midami, that's not really true. Hasam navi b'Rosh Chodesh leka klal. You can't really make the comparison. I'll tell you why. Because when it comes to Rosh Chodesh, there is never going to be any reading of a Haftorah. We read nothing. We never read a Haftorah on Rosh Chodesh. Just because it's Rosh Chodesh. We only read it because the whole idea of having a Haftorah is only related to Shabbos. However, Hacha Isa Ba'arvis v'Shachris v'Mincha. However, Alanisim on Chanukah that has a Rosh Chodesh or Chanukah that's a Shabbos, you are going to say Alanisim in the other points of the service. You can't argue that the Haftorah is only for Shabbos, not Rosh Chodesh, so because it's never connected to Rosh Chodesh. But you see that the other davenings, you are going to say Ya'alav Yav, you are going to say Alanisim on that day of Rosh Chodesh or that day of Shabbos. So Alanisim is applicable to a Shabbos and Chanukah or to a Rosh Chodesh and a Chanukah. So you can't say therefore don't insert it in the Musaf. This happens to be another shemoneh-esrei, like you did the other shemoneh-esreis, do this shemoneh-esrei. Ella, what's it compared to? It's compared to something else. And here's where your socks are going to fall off. Ella lahadam, it's compared to the following thing. The Amar Rav Achdavoy, Amar Rav Masna, Amar Rav. Yom Tov Shechal Lios B'Shabbos, when Yontif comes on a Shabbos, which happens reasonably frequently for Yontif, or at least it does come up. Hamaftir b'Navi b'Mincha B'Shabbos, Ein Tzarech Lahaskil Shel Yontif. A person who has even the maftir of the Navi at Mincha does not say Yantif, does not include Yantif in that Haftorah and Shabbos itself. Let's see if I got that correctly. Yom Tov comes out on Shabbos.
Right.
At the Haftorah, we say it Mincha.
Right.
With the bracha that we say afterwards, we don't include the bracha for Yom Tov. We only say Mekadesh Shabbos. Shemoneh-esrei Shabbos ain't Navi b'Mincha b'Yom Tov. Because if not for Shabbos, we would never read the Navi Mincha. Now you're all scratching your heads because you're all going to say, which Navi do we read at Mincha?
Yonah and Tony Yom Kippur?
So what happens for Yom Kippur is Yom Kippur we read at Mincha.
Yeah, but Yom Kippur is...
And in fact, there's some versions that have the nusach. They're not Yom Tov Shechalios b'Shabbos, but Yom Kippur Shechalios b'Shabbos. There's some nuskos that change. That's the only yontif that you have it. Okay. However, some of the Rishonim point out that it looks like there was a minhag. Once again, these are minhagim that have, fallen away. By the way, you see very clearly that the idea to define what kind of tefillot and the brachos and the tefillos is going on even in the days of the Talmud.
No.
We haven't finalized all these different tefillot completely, mostly, but still arguing about what do you say Yalav Yavo, what do you say Yalav Nisim. This discussion showed that there's still foment and development to finalize how our tefillos are going on, even as late as like we have Abaya here and other late Amoraim. We're going back and forth on certain, not the major things, but the minor things.
But on the other hand, you could say, think how old these tefillot really are. I'm saying.
Right, correct.
Right, right. It's a long time ago.
Right, correct. So at any rate, so the question really is, what kind of Navi do we have at Mincha? So one version, as you say, it really is Yom Kippur Shechalios b'Shabbos. So the truth is, they seem to say that's a tos. And it looks like there are a couple of versions. One version is there may have been a minhag to read actually a Haftorah at Mincha.
That makes more sense. To believe that they chose it just for one day, this whole thing.
Right.
Not even.
Oh, you mean like
not even mention which day?
They would do the 3 aliyahs plus a short Haftorah.
Plus a short Haftorah. Like we have Haftorah Natainis with Mincha.
Yeah.
We have Haftorah Natainis. Okay, so you do the same thing, or else there are sources that seem to refer that they didn't actually have a Navi reading. They had a reading from one of the Ksuvim. It's not even clear what the Ksuvim were. Does it mean they read from the Megillot at Mincha? And now our reading of the Megillot, we have nothing that refers to either Yom Tov or Shabbos, right? We just have a Megillah. If you do make a bracha, most people don't make a bracha. According to the Gra, you do make a bracha before reading Megillah from the Klav. It says, I'll make more Megillah. Right? You don't have the same bracha you make for Megillah Esther, but you don't have a bracha at the end like you have the Haftorah.
They could have read Tehillim or Mishlei or something.
Right? It could have been Tehillim or Mishlei, but it's not clear what kind of bracha they would have recited. Okay, so just read this to you from the Sefer Mo'arv. Neshalosh Elam Lefnei Rabbeinu Hai Al Had Yom Rav Maslam Yom Tov Shechalis B'Shabbos Hamaftir B'Navi. I'm just reading to you from what I have in front of me. B'Mincha Tzarich Laskosh Yom Tov. The Shamas Minay we learned from this the Ika Navi B'Shabbos B'Mincha. What is this going about? And over Maseches Megillah Tanan, we learned Maseches Megillah. You all here learned Maseches Megillah. Right. Some of you back then. Tanan, we learned B'Shabbos B'Mincha Korm Shlosha Ve'im Maftir B'Navi. It says very clearly we don't read the Navi. So Kashin Adadi. V'Heishiv, and he answered. Rav Haigon answered. This is from Kufas Agonim. Ki Makamos Yeshim and Hagos Chalukos saying there were different minhagim. Yadayin Yesh B'Paras Umada V'Shar Makamos Haftaros Yiduos B'Shabbos B'Mincha L'Chol Hashana Kulo. Okay, so that they were. Right, they were
places where they.
And then he quotes, and this is all quoting from Rav Haigon. V'atol made mizeh shegiu hachachmei aretz azos mixas asfarim. And then he refers to it. He says that people change Yom Tov shechalios b'Shabbos and Tosu mishum nekashlahu Yom Tov sheshibshu asfarim v'giu Yom Kippurim. V'Hashem atov yichaper b'adam, and God should forgive these people who decide to change the nusach of the Gemara from Yom Tov to Yom Kippur. Okay, in other words, there was abbreviation, Yom Tov. I guess Yom Tov, they made the Chaf into a Tet into a Chaf. Okay, could happen. But I did see somewhere else, and I can't remember where, that it was, it's Tosfos actually says it here somewhere. Okay, let's see where it is. Right, if you look in the bottom Tosfos, shemoneh-esrei Shabbos Navi b'Mincha v'Kosher the Tnava Perik Shlish the Megillah Bam Tosfos b'Sheni b'Chamishi b'Shabbos Mincha Korm Shlosha v'Yem Aftir b'Navi v'Teres b'Beinotam the Navi Dahacha Hainuk Suvim. Okay, that's where I saw it. Tosa says it was ksuvim shoyim aftirim b'ksuvim b'Shabbos b'mincha kidamar b'perikol kisvei, as it says in the end of Masechah Shabbos, b'nardah pasuk sidra b'ksuvim b'minchasa d'shabsa. That on Nardah they had a seder, had an order of reading ksuvim at mincha and Shabbos. Of Megillah, Iri b'Navi Mamash. In Masechet Megillah, they would actually read where they would read. It seems to say that they would read from the Navi as well. So they had different versions about whether it was a Navi or whether it was ksuvim, what actually they read. So once again, there does appear to be some variant reading, and this is. But what are we learning from this? So the comparison is that let's assume. Well, we'll go with the minhag that the Gemara refers to. Right. That on Yontif, that came on Shabbos, when they would read the Navi at Mincha, right? What bracha would they recite? So this was Yontif that came on Shabbos. Right. What bracha would they recite? They would only recite the bracha for Shabbos, because the only reason they were reading the Navi was it was Shabbos at Mincha. They didn't read the Navi at Yontif at Mincha. They never, even though when they read Shabbos at Mincha, they read a piece from the Navi Haftorah. Right. They never did this on Yontif.
Like during the week.
Yontif, which came out on a weekday. Yeah. Therefore, you see that something that is included only because of one of the 2 days, you don't refer to the other day. So when they read the Haftorah at Mincha, and they only made the bracha for Shabbos afterwards, not for Yom Tov, that shows you what's going to be the comparison now for Chanukah. When Chanukah comes out, and it's a day where you say Ya'aleh V'yavo, like Shabbos or Rosh Chodesh, so the Musaf davening, right, I should say, the day when you have Musaf, the Musaf davening is only becoming because of what? Because of Shabbos or Rosh Chodesh. So therefore you should not insert Ala Nisim, because the Al Nisim is only a Chanukah thing, and this shemoneh-esrei is only being brought. The Musaf shemoneh-esrei is only being said because of Rosh Chodesh or because of Shabbos. Did you guys get that?
Rosh Chodesh and Shabbos.
Or Shabbos, whichever the day is.
Either one.
No, it's the same way that when you lay the Haftorah on Yontif, that's Shabbos. And you read the Haftorah at Mincha, and you're only reading the Haftorah because it's Shabbos. You would never read a Mincha Haftorah because of Yontif. So the bracha was only about Shabbos, and you didn't include Yontif in the bracha after the Haftorah. So you only talked about the reason, that day that makes the Haftorah come about, which was Shabbos at Mincha, not Yontif at Mincha. You never had Haftorah. So too, when a day of Chanukah that comes out on a day when there's also going to be Musaf, which will either be Rosh Chodesh of Chanukah or Shabbos of Chanukah, and you're going to say that Tfilas Musaf only becomes because of what? Now it does not come because of Chanukah, only because of Shabbos Rosh Chodesh. Therefore, you're going to say the Musaf shemoneh-esrei, but you're not going to include the Al Nisim. That's how it looks like things should be. So if you would stop here before you went ahead, what would you say the halacha should be? You would not say Al Nisim into the shemoneh-esrei of Musaf, not on Rosh.
Except that before somebody said, nevertheless, you include it in Mincha, in Shacharis, a normal Shacharis, right?
Yeah, well, that was the question. The Gemara asked the question. Right. Should you or shouldn't you? And gave you the Svara each way was, seeing I normally include it on the other 3 times, I should include it here. Exactly. Or no, this shemoneh-esrei is only here because of Rosh Chodesh Shabbos. But if you'd stop here before you turn the page, it would look like that we should not say Al Nisim in Rosh Chodesh or Shabbos Musaf only. Okay. However, when we have a general rule, we follow. See, if sometimes the Gemara is very elusive, how what the psak is. Sometimes the Gemara is very clear, and the Gemara says as follows: okay, so everything that we talked about until now, Rav Huna, Rav Yehuda, Rav Gittel, Rav Achdavai, we don't really follow these opinions. La halacha, elakihad, the elakihad. We're only going to follow the following halachot. So anything that we said until now that looks like it was going to come to a decision, scratch it from the record. So this sometimes happens. Sometimes you see the Gemara will tell you this is what it looks like. The Gemara says, nah. Here's really what's the real halacha.
Bringing somebody new, actually.
We're bringing a whole something new. In other words, whatever we said until now is not going to be how we decide. It doesn't tell you why we don't follow like this, but it's just telling us that that we're not going to follow what they're saying. Okay, and it brings you the following statement of Rabbi Shua ben Levi, and this you will recognize. Rabbi Shua ben Levi. Yom Kippur. This is clearly Yom Kippur. Right? The people who made the mistake were saying Yom Tov was Yom Kippur, but they probably made the mistake there because they drafted it from here. So Yom Kippurim shechalios b'Shabbos. When Yom Kippur comes on Shabbos, does that happen in your lifetime? Of course it does. So mispalel ni'ila. When you're davening ni'ila, do you ever daven ni'ila on Shabbos? Never. When do you daven ni'ila? Only on Yom Kippur. Actually, there were some Tanaisim in Masechet Tanis, some very serious Tanaisim, that they would include a fifth tefillah for ni'ila, or a fourth tefillah for ni'ila. It wasn't musaf, because they didn't ask to talk about musaf, but they included an additional prayer called ni'ila, which was said at the end of the day. Like our tefillah of ni'ila, which talks about ni'ilas sha'arim, the closing of the gates. So on Yom Kippur, which comes on Shabbos, the person who davens ni'ila, in other words, it looks like this is the chazan. Hamispalo ni'ila, maybe it means even the person who's davening by himself. I guess it's even davening by yourself. Hamispalo ni'ila tzarech lahaskel shel Shabbos, shel Shabbos, a yom shunas chai barbar tfilos. So when you're davening on Shabbos, on Nila, and it's Shabbos, you include Shabbos in all the tefillah of Nila. You all say, es Yom HaShabbos hazeh, es Yom HaKippurim hazeh. Mekadesh Yisrael, Mekadesh HaShabbos Yisrael, v'Yom HaKippurim. Right. I think I skipped some words there, but you got the general idea. So in other words, you include Shabbos is there, even though there's no doubt this is not just about Mincha Maariv. It's not just about Shachris. It's not just about even Musaf, which is there because of Musaf for Shabbos and Musaf for Yom Kippur. But the only time, and it's there for Mincha, but the only time we ever say Ne'ilah in our lifetime is going to be for Yom Kippur. We don't say it because of Shabbos. So you could have argued, therefore, that the Shabbos part is not necessary. You only say Ne'ilah because of Yom Kippur. Comes along Rabbi Moshe ben Levi to say, nope, you include Shabbos. So therefore we're going to follow this halacha of Rav Yehoshua ben Levi. Now, we have to make the connection ourselves, is therefore going to be what's going to happen with when it comes to Chanukah.
You should put it in.
So therefore, if on Yom Kippur at Ne'ilah, on Shabbos, you would insert Shabbos, even though Ne'ilah is only there because of Yom Kippur. On Chanukah, which comes out on a Shabbos or a Rosh Chodesh, you're going to insert Al Nisim in the Musaf, even though the Musaf only comes because of Shabbos or Rosh Chodesh, not because of Chanukah. That's the halacha. So you see, the whole Gemara went one way and then said, burp, stop. Here's what the way the halacha is. We're not finished yet. It's just a little more, couple of bumps here. So the Gemara says, wait, we have a little problem. Okay, kasha hilchsa. We're going to have a question, one halachic statement against another. We just told you halacha is like Rabbi Yehoshua ben Levi. So Amrit hilchsa like Rabbi Yehoshua ben Levi. Okay, but we also have another statement that says hilchsa karava. We have a halacha like the following statement of Rava, not about Chanukah, but you can draw the analogy of the Chanukah, and it looks like it's going to be the opposite. What's the case? The Yom Rava, Yom Tov shechalios b'Shabbos. Okay, this is Friday night. Okay, Friday night. But
it's a yontif.
But it's Friday night, which is a yontif. Okay. But I'm just making it clear we're talking about Friday night davening as opposed to Shabbos day.
I see, gotcha.
Okay, so what happens on Friday night? We don't have a chazar sashatz, do we? What do we have? We have something called me'ain shalosh, or me'ain sheva, I should say. We have a short tefillah, right? Magin avos, vayechulu, and which there's a short bracha. The chazan, we say it, and then the chazan says it. The chazan has a bracha that he adds to it, and that is in place of really a repetition of the midah. It looks like that. So what happens if it's Friday night that comes out on a Yom Tov as well? Right. Do I include about Yom Tov or not? Okay. So look what the Gemara says. Yom Rava, Yom Tov Shechalis B'Shabbos, Shliach Tzibur, not me, but the Shliach Tzibur is the one who says this bracha. Yored Lefnei HaTeva, who goes to daven, Arvis Marev, Eina Tzarech Lahaskel Shel Yom Tov. He doesn't include Yom Tov in this bracha of Me'in Sheva. Right, let me just have the consider here. When he says the bracha, which deals really specifically with Shabbos, he does not make any insertions whatsoever in terms of the Yom Tov itself. Why? What does the Gemara say? Because if not for Shabbos, it looks like, and here's another minhag that's very strange, it looks like they didn't even have a chazan who would get together on Yom Tov night. In other words, it looks like they davened by themselves. Looks like maybe it's like,
It's Yontif night, right?
If it's Yontif night itself, they would not have had a chazan. Correct.
Yontif night. Maybe they didn't formalize the tefillahs as they do today. Also.
Correct.
So they may not have had a tefillah.
Right.
Like I don't know. You don't know what they had.
Correct. So, in other words, when we have this tefillah that we insert on Friday night, we say Vayechulu, and then we say the Chazan says Baruch Hashem Elokeinu V'Kavosenu K'Avraham L'Kei Yitzchak V'Yaakov Hakel HaGadol HaGibor V'Noah Kel HaYon Konei Shemayim V'Aretz Magen Avos B'Dvaro Machayim Yisim Ma'amaro Hakel HaKadosh Shein Kamo Haminiach L'Mo B'Mshavas Kodesh Givam Etzol L'Niach L'Fraim Farav Derov Yavafach V'Nosh V'Ochat Me'en V'Chos Kel HaDos Adam Shem HaKadosh Shem V'Hashem Ne'ech L'Sholam D'Ushayonik Zeichel L'Masei V'Reishis is all about Shabbos. Then the Chazan continues and says there's all the same bracha Elokeinu V'Kavosenu receiving the Chasenu Kachin Mesesem Sechem Mesecha etc etc Hanchilenu Hashem Elokeinu B'Avav Shabbos Kuchecha V'Yinucha V'Yisom Mekadosh Yishmecha Baruch Hashem Mekadosh Shabbos. Now, if this comes out on Yontif night, we do not include anything for Yontif. Why? Because it looks like if not for the fact that it doesn't say if not for the fact that it was not Shabbos. If it had not been Shabbos, we wouldn't have said this tefillah altogether. It says if not for the fact that it was Shabbos, the Chazan wouldn't have davened together. So what does that mean? Why does the Chazan get together on Friday night, and why do we not get together normally together for the Yontif night? But the point of it being that this seems to make a statement that the tefillah of Mein Sheva that is said by the Chazan on Friday night does not include Yontif.
Right.
What should you extrapolate from that regarding Chanukah on Rosh Chodesh and Shabbos? You shouldn't say Ya'alav Yavo on the Musaf shemoneh-esrei.
You shouldn't say Al-Nisim.
I'm sorry, thank you. You shouldn't say Al-Nisim in the Musaf shemoneh-esrei. If the Chazan would not say Yontif in the main Sheva on Friday night, that's also Yontif. He doesn't say Yontif. So therefore, on Chanukah, which is Rosh Chodesh or Shabbos, you should not say Al-Nisim in the Musaf shemoneh-esrei. So that's what it looks like. So the Gemara says we have dueling halachas. Neither of these halachas deal with Chanukah. One deals with Yom Kippur, the next one deals with Friday night, that's Yontif. One deals with Yom Kippur, that's Shabbos. One deals with Friday night, that's Yontif. But the extrapolation from each seem to go the opposite way. So the Gemara says, here's how we'll reconcile them. Hachi Ashtam. Hasam, over there, means the last case we just did. B'dinhu dafilu b'Shabbos no lami lo tzarech. V'Rabbanan hu d'tikunim mishum sakana. Really, on a normal Friday night, we would not even say any tefillah. The only reason Chazal built a tefillah there, and once again, here's where you see that they're building tefillah, they built a special bracha. You and I would shudder to add brachas on our own. But they built a special bracha because they were afraid of people who would be going home on their own from the shul. The shuls were not in the downtown, or the shuls were in the downtown. The shuls were in the fields. Shuls were where they were deserted. Now, what would happen? So on Friday night, people were there, and they all would come back together. So you wanted to make sure the guy who was davening the long shemoneh-esrei wouldn't get left behind. How would you do that? So you kind of played for time by saying this tefillah of Magen Avos, the tefillah that we said together.
That way people would stay.
Right, so the whole reason we're saying the tefillah, it's not that the tefillah itself is not there. The whole reason we even have a chazan who's going to say it looks like it's because of Shabbos. It's only because of the sakana. But hacha, so it's not even really a tefillah as if to say, we're only including it because of Shabbos and because of sakana. Aval hacha, yom shemoneh-esrei b'arba tefillos. But over there in the first case about Yom Kippur and Shabbos, no, that's a Yom Kippur is a day with 4 tefillos, or 5 tefillos as we have. So it's the same way that you say 4 tefillos, every other tefillah, that you say this tefillah as well for Ne'ilah, for Shabbos, as well as for Yom Kippur. But here, there's a special situation. So what happened normally during the week? So it appears, this is what Rashi explains, normally during the week, people were so busy with their work that they never really came to shul for Ma'arav. Believe it or not, for those of you guys who are slackers that don't come back from Ma'arav, guess what? You're in good company. Rashi says, look in Rashi Mishum Sakonas. It's on the left side on the page 246, about 10 lines from the top. Mishum Sakana. What was the Sakana? Mazikim. They were afraid of Mazikim, afraid of devils, who knows what, spirits. Shalohaya bate knesa shalovahem b'yishuv, because the shuls they had were not in the inhabited area. V'kol sha'ar leile achol, and every other weekday night, hayu asukim b'mlachtan, they were busy with their work. B'gamra malachtan mispalim marvis b'eisayim. Beisam, they daven marv at home. They wouldn't come to shul. Remember, Marv initially was a Rishus. Right? It was like an optional kind of tefillah. So if it was optional, only if you said it by yourself. Avalele Shabbos boim bebeis hakneses, but Friday night they'd come to shul. V'choshu sheyesh she'ein maharim lavo. Some people didn't come on time. V'shoim lachar tefillah, and so they'd wait after tefillah. They'd be afraid they'd get stuck after tefillah. L'chein harichu tefillah satzibur. They would daven tefillah satzibur. Now, so that's about Shabbos. So what happened for the other Yom Tovim? Why was this not a problem for Yom Tov? I mean, maybe people they weren't working; they were resting as well. So it looks like the only time they would say this tefillah was on Friday night. What happened? What about Yom Tov? What about the latecomers on Yom Tov? Those who said the long shemoneh-esrei on Yom Tov. What do you say? Any suggestions? No suggestions? So it's possible. Some of the Rishonim suggest some very interesting answers. They suggest possibly that on Yom Tov, they were not as late in coming. People came on time. It wasn't so much the long shemoneh-esrei as the latecomers. Shabbos, you got to finish everything by sundown. So there's this mad rush to get everything done. Yom Tov, if you didn't finish everything, you can still do melechas ochel nefesh when you came home. So you weren't as busy trying to finish things up for Yom Tov. So people came to shul on time. Friday night they were struggling, so you kind of like slide into home base. You know what it is in the short Fridays. It was just as short then, because it had to be done by the time you lit candles. Yom Tov was a little bit different. That's one answer that they suggest. Another answer is, well, you know what, the mazikim are really only found on. Gemara says mazikim are around on Wednesday nights and Friday nights. Mazikim are not around on Yom Tov night, so the problem is mazikim. Another answer that the Rishonim saying, this one I think makes a lot more sense, is on Yom Tov night you could take a torch with you. Because you can use fire for tzorach badam, for any tzorach for Yom Tov, you could use that as well. Okay. And as well, it looks like that, by the way, that it may be possible that maybe they didn't come together for Yom Tov. That could be another possibility that is suggested by some of them. But this becomes the conclusion of the Gemara. Now, this actually is a very important halacha.
So what's the halacha?
The halacha is...
Looks like there's a debate.
So we say that's only especially about Friday night, because Friday night is not even really a tefillah. It's not even really a tefillah. You can't compare this to davening Musaf, which is a real tefillah. This was just a separate kind of addition they put in. It's like saying Yigdal, right? To end things off, to hold back, or like having some kind of filler to make sure that everybody empties out at the same time because people came late. The latecomers wouldn't be left by themselves. So because it's not really a tefillah, and it's only done because of Shabbos, and the Shabbos where the latecomers came, and it never happened any other time, so you only mention a bracha about Shabbos. Does this make sense? But it's not really equivalent to all other normal tefillos, like Musaf, which is a real tefillah. For a regular tefillah, if that's a day with an extra tefillah, you're going to include Ala Nisim into that. Now here's why this halacha is a very important halacha. Not about Chanukah. The reason it's an important halacha, sometimes you see in Sidurim, maybe some people don't know this, that the only place where we say Mogen Avos, we say this bracha, Vein Sheva, is where you go to a shul that has a minyan kavua. Did anyone ever hear this? If you happen to get together in an ad hoc minyan, a one of, you don't say this tefillah. No, this tefillah is only, it's only said, I don't see it in the footnotes here, but some Sidurim actually point out that if you're in someone's house, you don't. Here we go. Here's what it says. The following 3 paragraphs are omitted by an individual praying alone or by an occasional minyan.
Occasionally. If you minyan if you minyan your Friday night, then you would probably...
That's not an occasional minyan. You have a minyan, you only get together once. You come for a bar mitzvah, a weekend, a retreat, and you get together. But in other words, like if you come together, you go away and there's a minyan, you're in the country, and you come together. So why? Because you see that the whole reason for this tefillah was specifically based upon the fact the shuls were outside the yishuv, outside the community. So they had to hold back for people. So even when the shuls later were built inside the communities, the minhag remained. So in other words, no one suggests that we're going to leave anyone behind here in the bayit we leave and they can't find their way home, right? And they get locked in overnight. That's not even a question, but it's still a shul, and the original minhag was meant for shuls when they were out of the city in the fields. So we do it for shuls. But if you're davening not in the shul, it's an ad hoc kind of minyan. 10 people come together, 10 people are going to leave. You all come together, you daven. It's ad hoc. It's just an occasional minyan. That's what the siddur means. So that's halacha that actually is really halacha l'maisa. Many people don't know this. Now, there are set minyanim, for example. People argue that when they go away and they have summer minyanim out in the country or something, and they daven every week. Right. So that's already a set minyan. That's like a shul. It's like a shul,
Yeah,
even
it
if,
is.
right? Or even if you rotate, maybe you have like block minyanim. That's a set kind of minyan. So people say this, but it's really meant to exclude where you only come together once in the blue moon or in unusual situations. Ad hoc. They use the term occasional, but they really mean ad hoc. So this does have halachic significance, not for Hanukkah, but it does have for Friday night and every Friday night. Okay, everybody should have a freilich and Hanukkah, a lichtige Hanukkah, delightful Hanukkah.